payment. Super Bowl money. You got the payment. Super Bowl money.
It's your boy Trauma back with another one. I recorded this and it got deleted. We're gonna jump right into this. We ain't gonna waste no time. The Cleveland Browns, Shedeur Sanders. Everybody talking about it. Everybody know what time it is. Everybody saw the draft. All right, let's start there. Anybody who can say that it wasn't a collective effort to not draft Shedeur or send a message to him or his pops, whatever, we can all see that, right? Somebody, great man, used to have a quote to say, "Common sense ain't common." You can show people the sky blue, they'll still come out and say it's brown or something, right? So we know the draft was BS. And then we start looking at Shedeur once he got to Cleveland, right? Training camp. Now, for the Cleveland Browns, the owner is like Jerry Jones, okay? Attention, media, lights, camera. He wants that for his team, right? You had the most watched preseason game in 10, 15 years with Shedeur. The ticket prices was like $15 before they announced Shedeur. They went up to like 100, 150. So right there, it should let you know that it's all about business, and we're gonna touch on it. That's part of the reason they ain't gonna trade him. And I hope he goes somewhere where he can be valued and want to start. But there is somebody there in that building that wants him. My thought has changed a little bit. I know it ain't the head coach, and the way the owner came out, I thought he was really trying to, you know, hold on, y'all, my bad. I thought when the owner came out and said what he said, I thought it was really him trying to just spread some love throughout and debunk the narratives. But I'm a believer that Barry really likes Shedeur. And I said in one of my other videos, whoever drafted Shedeur next year will still be there. I don't think the head coach is going to be there. But again, whoever is there next year, mark my word, is going to be the person that drafted Shedeur, because I think if they keep him, it'll take injuries, it'll take God, like divine intervention to get Shedeur on the field. However, when he do get on the field, I believe when you put him with the starters in a line that can protect, he gonna play well. If you look at that last preseason game, man, and everybody that's talking, Shedeur played bad. All right, Shedeur played bad. He had a lot of, I ain't gonna say a lot. He had 2, maybe 3 plays where he held on to the ball. That's what he did in college. But every rookie tends to hold on to the ball. And y'all watch Dillon Gabriel when he get his time to play against real defenses. You watch the play calling Stefanski was doing for him was all scripted, quick. When Shedeur got in the game, the whole play call changed. Everything was 7-step drop, 5-step play action with a line that can't block. That's coaching 101. This is why I was getting frustrated with Pat Shermer when he was in Colorado with some of the play calls. You cannot do long routes, 10, 12, 15. You can't do those kind of routes. You can't do deep ends and deep overs and deep outs when the line not blocking. So the whole play call was night and day. And for the casual football fan, it just looked like Shedeur played bad. I'm not a casual football fan. I played at a high level, know a lot of people that played at high level. You look at that game, you look at that O-line, you look at the play call, you say he never had a chance. And I believe that was the plan, because Dillon Gabriel was supposed to play part of the third quarter, but the coaches knew that the rest of the starters who played with Dillon Gabriel wasn't going to be playing, and they didn't want to put Gabriel out there. So you put Shedeur out there. So for one, I know, looking at it, I'm not a theorist and this. I'm looking at the facts. Okay, the facts show me the play calling was wrong and bad for the situation. That O-line couldn't block. Okay, play calling was bad. Shedeur should have never been out there with those players. And that's not me just being angry or upset. All of the O linemen, I think all but one, were cut the next day. Let that sink in. Every lineman that Shedeur Sanders played with the last preseason game was cut. Right? So you can tell people that's anti-Shedeur. I told you he was whack. You could have put Tom Brady behind that line, Patrick Mahomes behind that line, and they wouldn't have looked like Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Okay? So the whole offensive line was cut. It was cut. Go back to the quarterback tracker, right? This is Cleveland Browns' fault, but this again is their addiction to the media. They want the media, they want the noise in, but then everybody want to knock Shedeur. People like Coward want to blame Shedeur for the Dylan Gabriel comment. What? What do you mean? Shedeur didn't say nothing. Dylan said something. Okay, so the Cleveland Browns like the attention. They like Jerry Jones. Okay, and they don't like Dion, and they don't like this person's attitude. Let me tell you something about Cleveland and the NFL. Okay, and this is as a whole. Let me be very specific when I say this. The NFL decides who and what they'll tolerate depending on who it is. Deshaun Watson had 20, 30 open SA cases, and they gave him a fully guaranteed contract. So they'll tolerate that. Okay? They'll tolerate that. And it's unfortunate the NFL, depending on who you are, will tolerate SA, will tolerate a battery on women. This is what they tolerate with certain players. Attempted murders. I mean, some of the owners smoke crack. Some of the owners been charged with touching and her sexual harassment against women, and they don't get nothing but a fine. So the NFL will tolerate certain things. They'll tolerate things that they won't tolerate tomorrow, depending on who you are. So let's not get confused and be biased about the reason Shedeur wasn't drafted, and with all his fans are making it worse. His fans are making it worse for him. Y'all don't even want the man to have fans. Stefanski, you know what you did. And this is why I say I'm starting to believe that the owner didn't want him either. It wasn't the owner's choice. Because if it was the owner's choice, Shedeur would have been playing, especially after that first game. He would have been getting some reps with the ones. Shedeur has never took one rep with the ones. He's played against 1-2 defense, but he's never taken an offensive rep with the ones. If the owner drafted him, Shedeur would have been taking offensive reps with the ones at some point. So that lets me know it definitely wasn't head coach. We know who the head coach wanted. He's a 2-time coach of the year. I don't know how. But he did it to Baker Mayfield. So it's my belief now that Barry is the one who drafted Shedeur. And Barry will be there next year. Or if they don't keep Barry, it'll come out. You mark my word, it'll come out. Okay, so we looked at the quarterback tracker. We looked at how Shedeur got did during training camp. And then he comes out and balls that first game. And then you have people like Dan Orlowski. And this is what kills me, right? You got people that played the position that were trash. Chase Daniels, and they come out and just talk crazy. Dan Orlowski, you have two quarterbacks, similar completions. Shedeur had 2 touchdowns. Dylan had 1 fumble and a pick 6. And they come out and say, based off that game, which quarterback had a better day? Dan Orlowski played in the NFL. And he would say this about any other quarterback that wasn't Dylan Gabriel. You cannot say that based off the facts. But I see that when it comes to Shedeur, facts don't matter. They only matter when it's a negative fact. Shedeur had a bad game, guys. Hey, everybody gonna have them. Okay? He went back to some of the things he was doing in college. Granted, he was just trying to make a way out of none. He was. That's something he's gonna have to learn. That's something that his pops, Pat Shermer, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't sugarcoat it. That was something that Pat Shermer, his pops, and everybody else that was up there was supposed to be coaching out of him then. I kept saying last year they need a 3-second clock in practice so he can start getting that clock going. But when you have speedsters on the outside, you want to go vertical. So you hold the ball, you can make plays. But in the NFL, it don't work that way. You need to have a 3-second clock. Look at the greats. They 2.2, 2.6, 2.5. So a 3-second clock, you need to just get used to that. Sometimes you can go off rhythm and extend plays, but you need to have that eternal clock. That's something that his pops and Pat Shermer in Colorado failed to get out of him. However, he's a rookie. He's going to learn. Ain't no quarterback coming to the league. I'll tell you this. Dylan Gabriel looked so good during that last preseason game. The ball was coming out like this. I'm telling y'all, you watch how he looks when he's in a live game against real defenses and the coach ain't calling this gimmick crap. You watch how he look. The one thing about Shedeur is the dude ball when the stage is high. When the lights is on, he show up and fly. That's who he is. He's accurate. He's poised. He doesn't get flustered easy. The dude balls. You cannot teach those traits. Now, in the preseason, you can draw up those things and make it look like it. But when it hit the fan and the bullets is flying, you're going to get to see what Dylan Gabriel is. I'm going to call it what it is. To me, he's not better than Shedeur. He's not. In training camp, the numbers didn't lie. The eye test didn't lie. Shedeur looked it better. The only difference was the first game, Shedeur looked it better. Think about that. Training camp, Shedeur looked better. Quarterback tracker, Shedeur looked better. First preseason game, Shedeur looked better. Last preseason game, what happened? The coach manipulated the circumstances. So then Shedeur looked terrible. If you would have put Shedeur in the same situation as Dylan Gabriel with the same players, he should have let him play a half or split that second quarter with the same players. And for everybody that's mad about it, I ask them this. And this is where common sense ain't common. When you feel how you feel, nothing anybody gonna say is gonna sway you, right? When you conducting a science experiment or you trying to cure, let's say, cancer or diabetes, right? You have to have a base. You have to have a baseline. You have to have a constant, a controlled sample, right? The controlled sample, if it was truly an open contest at quarterback for the backups or to see where they were, the two rookies, you have to have a control. You have to have a baseline. The baseline, the control standard would have been the same exact players, the same type of plays, not short, run, mix, look good play calling, and all of a sudden you remove the players, put other players in, and all the play calling change. That's not a constant. You cannot get a smart enough, adequate, reliable answer when the variables are too much. They're changing too much. That's like, it's common sense. It's common sense. You don't give two people completely different tests and say, hey, you guys are going for the same job. I'm going to base it off who scores the highest on two different completely tests. It doesn't work that way. So if it was ever a true competition, they would have allowed Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel to have the same variables, same players, same type play call. Now, it would vary a little bit based off what this quarterback likes and that quarterback likes to their strengths, because you want them to succeed. You want to really evaluate what they are. And you can't evaluate what someone is when you stack the odds up against them. You can't. If you have two runners and you want to see who's the fastest in the 100-yard dash or the 100 meters, you cannot put one player in the number 1 lane and the other player in the number 8 lane with 20 hurdles. It will not be accurate. The person without the hurdles more likely is going to win, even if the person without the hurdles are slower. So, Stefanski, we all know what you did. And I believe the owner, you had his blessing. Because if not, the owner make the decisions. He traded for Deshaun Watson with all his drama. So, we know what it is. I wish you luck, my man. But I'm telling you, This move is going to cost you your job. If not this year, then next year. You're going to be without a job because you wanted to be right by your guy and you didn't want to evaluate both guys. Let me say this and I'm done. The Kenny Pickett thing, and I said this a few weeks ago. They kept saying Kenny was hurt. Kenny wasn't hurt after he, initially he got, dinged up, I guess his hammy or whatever. But remember, he came out and said, hey, I'm good to go. That was 3 weeks before the last preseason game. And I kept saying, they're not playing Kenny Pickett because they want to trade him. They're not playing Kenny Pickett because they want to trade him. And what happened? Kenny Pickett got traded. That was it. Kenny Pickett was there to battle Flacco, but he was hurt. So they said, you know what? We're going to trade you. So the whole time, they knew Joe Flacco was going to be the starter. They already said that. So my thing is, don't come in here saying, hey, it's an open contest. We knew, or I knew, I didn't expect Shedeur to go in there and be day one starter, week one. I didn't expect that. But I expected an honest, open competition between him, Gabriel, and Kenny Pickett. I did. They didn't give Shedeur that opportunity. So the hole you dig, eventually you got to lay in. Stefanski, those vets know what you did. If you watch that game, look at all the vets coming up to Shedeur, trying to keep his spirit up, coming up to him. And I can imagine, bro, we know what it is. We see it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So Cleveland Browns got rid of Huntley the next day. They took Shedeur out of the last 2 minutes. The head coach we were going to do that anyway. For what? Huntley he only came there to give you a body. You gave him the last 2 minutes for what? You didn't want Shedeur to have no life. If Shedeur would have went down that field and had a competent drive with what you gave him, it would have been some more controversy. Y'all didn't want that. That's why y'all pulled Dylan Gabriel out at half, because he had a good half. Well, the second part of the first drive was overthrows and everything, but he finished it well. And y'all wanted that memory to be the last memory we saw of Dylan Gabriel, because y'all knew y'all was taking the starters out third quarter. But Dylan was supposed to play the third quarter, part of the third quarter. Shedeur got in there. Then y'all pulled him. You stacked the odds up against him. You put hurdles in his way. Then you put Huntley. You pull Shedeur out. Humiliate the kid. Pull him out. You let Huntley start in the game with the 2-minute drive. Then you turn around and cut him. Then you turn around and trade Kenny Pickett. Stefanski, I hope you don't never win another Coach of the Year, because you might have been Coach of the Year twice, which I still don't know how. But I tell you what, you lack morals. You lack integrity, man. And you got the Dan Orlowskis. And you can tell the people that come and support and back Stefanski what they do. Dan Orlowski, look at that game. 4 fumble, pick 6. He still had a better outing than Shedeur. No integrity. Sometimes you just got to look at things subjectively. Over here, I'm a Shedeur fan. But what I say, Dylan played lights out. I posted a video short when he throwing darts. But I'm smart enough to see the change in the hurdles when the blocks that was stacked up against Shedeur to fail. I saw it. Everybody saw it. You have Hall of Fame quarterbacks, not Chase Daniels, not Dan Orlowski, but Kurt Warner's, who said the same thing. For everybody that's out there listening to the Dan Orlowskis and the Chase Daniels, backups their whole life. College was great. Backups in the NFL. Kurt Warner played at a high level. Super Bowl winning quarterback, MVP. Off the street. It wasn't touted like that. So when you listening and looking and decide who you listening to on what you're seeing, because you can't see it right, choose the Hall of Famers, not these backups. Because these backups is biased. Go look at some of their takes. They bias. I'm telling y'all. So it's your boy Trauma Man, Shedeur. I hope you get traded to a team that's value you, that where you can go play. But who knows, man? Maybe part of God's plan to keep you there and to get that coaching staff up out of there, and you're going to get your turn, man. Just keep your head down. Keep working. Much success. Wouldn't put it on you if you couldn't hold it, man. All things work together. So All I can say, man, is keep doing your thing. It's your boy Trauma. We out of here.